Before we end our brief comments on current affairs, we need to touch on Korea. And we have to speak a little bit more extensively on the subject of Korea, because it is perhaps the most dangerous one we face in the world at this time. There was a war in Korea imposed upon the Korean people by the United States of America, supported by people in the south of Korea. A war which was unleashed on the north of Korea, a war of aggression, a war which sought to demolish the north and to make it submit to the Americans. That's what it was in Korea in the 1950s. And the North fought bravely and could not be subdued. No. They suffered tremendously. I don't know, maybe over 2 million of them were killed in that war. And they've not forgotten. They've not forgotten what happened 60, 70 years ago. And for these 60 or 70 years, they have been preparing themselves for when they will be attacked again. They knew that unless and until they build the power with which to deter the aggressor, they knew that when next they attack, they could be subdued. And so what they did was to build such power as to be able to deter the aggressor. That's all they did. They never built power to try to control the world. They don't have an agenda of building Korean bases in 900 parts of the world to ensure that they become the policemen of the world. No. Korea does not have that as agenda. It's the United States of America which has this agenda to be the world's policeman. In the Quran, Allah has given an order in Surah Al-Anfal. And today we ask our people to remember what Allah has said in the Quran. Listen to the word of Allah. The Security Council could like it or dislike it. It matters not to us. This is the word of the one God. He says, and it's a command, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ وَمِنْ رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. Build power, says Allah, meaning military power. Build power. Build it to the maximum extent that you can possibly build it. Not to the extent permitted by the Security Council, not to the extent permitted by Washington or London or Paris, not to the extent permitted by NATO, not to the extent permitted by a Judeo-Christian Zionist alliance, and most certainly not to the extent permitted by the State of Israel. No. Allah says in the Quran, He says, build power, meaning military power, build it to the maximum extent that you can possibly build it. Why does Allah want us to build power? Why? Is it to intimidate mankind? Is it to commit aggression? Is it to seek to expand territory through warfare? Is it to seek to rule the world? To establish Pax Britannica? Or to establish Pax Americana? Or to establish what's now coming, Pax Judaica? Is it to rule the world? No, 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 1,000 times no. The Quran does not give us that agenda. No. Rather, it gives us a philosophy of power in which it says, تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ. Build power to the maximum extent that you can possibly build it, in order that it might function as deterrence to deter those who may want to attack you. That is precisely what Korea has done. That is what Pakistan did when Pakistan developed a nuclear deterrence. But they don't want you to have such power. They want that you should be so weak that they can come and maul you, and they can stamp their foot upon you, and they can make you subservient to them. That's what they want, because they want to rule the world by the hook or by the crook. And Korea said, no, we will not submit. And so Korea was right, Korea was justified, and Korea was in conformity with the divine guidance in the Quran to build such power as to be able to deter those who had committed aggression against her in the first place and now have stood up in the United Nations General Assembly and threatened to destroy Korea. When that statement was made in the United Nations General Assembly, it vindicated the Korean decision to build that kind of power to be able to deter. They can't attack Korea. No. They have to wait until Korea attacks them before they can respond. They cannot. Because if they were to attack Korea, the whole of South Korea will be destroyed immediately. 30 million people will die immediately, and they'll have that sin on their head. And therefore they cannot attack Korea. Why? Because Korea has the power with which to be able to deter. I wish I could speak some more on the subject, but we are running out of time now.